Hi, this is Laura Wilkinson from the Wilkinson Effect. In this video, I will be teaching you how to use an NLP technique called anchoring so that you can reprogram yourself to recall states of happiness whenever you want. Using this technique, we're able to use our mind-body, and instead of having to recall or create a new memory so that we can get into a state of happiness, what we're doing is we're programming it into our body, and we're applying specific triggers so that we can instantly integrate that state of happiness. So what happens in our day-to-day life is that we'll have a happy event and it makes us feel really good, and then it goes away. Occasionally we'll reminisce on something and it'll bring back those good feelings of joy and happiness and fun, and then it goes away again. Using this technique called anchoring, we're going to be basically making a memory shortcut so that anytime that we want to feel happy, we can use this little shortcut so that we don't have to re-experience a whole memory or create a whole new experience. Now, we use anchoring all of the time in our lives. We just don't realize what we're doing. So when we're creating an intentional anchor, we need to make sure that we're doing it the right way. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective. So here's a few things that you need to make sure that you're doing if you want this anchor to work. The first thing is that you need to make sure that you're using it at the exact right time. So to make this anchor, we need to make sure that our emotions are all the way at the peak. So you are feeling so freaking happy that you're about to burst, or you're about to cry, or you're about to, I don't know, do this crazy happy dance or something. The second thing that you need to make sure that you do is that you need to make sure that your anchor is unique and distinctive. You don't want to make an anchor that is something that you do all of the time, because you don't want to be unconsciously doing this and triggering those emotions. Basically, it can desensitize your anchor if this is something that you're doing all of the time. So you also need to make sure that your anchor is something that you can easily repeat. You don't want to have it be so involved that you have to do this whole crazy process to get that anchor or to trigger that anchor to bring up those emotions. It needs to be something that is very simple and easily repeatable. So if you're creating an anchor for happiness, make sure that you're actually happy, okay? Because you don't want to be creating an anchor for silliness on accident because you're having so much fun and you're feeling silly. So make sure that your feeling is actually happiness when you're creating this anchor for being happy. To reprogram your mind-body, neuro-linguistic programming involves your thought process, your five senses, and your use of language to help integrate and reprogram your mind and your body. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to be using the sense of touch, because it's something that you're always walking around with, okay? You can be anywhere and you can be using your own body to apply an anchor, and it can be as simple as a snap. For demonstration purposes, so that you fully understand this concept, I'm going to show you what I do. So for my trigger for happiness, this is the anchor that I've planted. And I highly recommend that you use this sentence as your affirmation, because it's a really great one. It's really empowering, and it keeps you in the present. So what I say after I reached my peak state of happiness, I say, I choose to be happy. Because this is saying that I'm happy right now. You don't want to say, I like to be happy, or it's fun to be happy. You want to say something that is really firm in being present, that this is your present state and that this is your choice. Okay, because it's very empowering to say it that way. So the way that I've applied this technique is that I like to do snap, snap. So when I'm really excited and I'm feeling really happy, I say, I choose to be happy. And I snap twice. It's that simple. It really is that simple. So just make sure that you're applying it when you're at your peak state of happiness, and keep the same anchor with or whatever way that you choose to do it. Make sure that it's easy, it's repeatable, it's distinctive. Okay? Don't be doing something like where you're clapping a whole bunch of times, because all of a sudden, if you're at somebody's speech, you're giving a standing ovation to somebody in church, you're going to trigger happiness. Yeah, that might be okay for that situation, but You don't want to have that just popping up any old time for, you know, something frequent that you do. So make sure that it's distinctive. 2 snaps works really well for me because it's not something that I do all the time. You can try that and see how that works for you if you're a good snapper. If you're wondering how many times that you have to do this to make it work, the answer is really easy. Do it until it works. A lot of times when we're unintentionally making an anchor, it takes that one time, right? You have that one really great memory and it's implanted in your head and you're able to recall it. You're able to easily go back to those feelings of feeling really good. So it's the same thing here. You're just making sure that you've applied it correctly. So the best way to find out if you need to repeat this is to test it. So if you're having kind of a funky day, if you're feeling a little bit test out your anchor and just, I choose to be happy. And see if your emotional state changes. That's the easiest way to do this. If you want to test it out and do this a couple of different times, feel free to do that. You're totally welcome to do that for this challenge. There are going to be a couple of days where I'm going to encourage you to test out your anchor. If you're not feeling that activity and you're not feeling that peaked state of happiness, don't apply the anchor. Really, this is for you to decide what makes you feel good, what makes you feel happy, and make sure that you're at your peak of happiness. Otherwise, this technique won't be really very effective. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. You can make a video in response to this. You can leave a comment on my website. You can leave a comment in the Facebook group. You can leave a comment in the video comments. I want to hear what you have to say about it. And make sure that you're having a lot of fun in these activities, okay? That's it. Thanks. I choose to be happy.